Today is Wednesday, March 1st, 2023, and being March 1st already, I could ramble about time moving more quickly, but today's video I'm actually going to talk about fake animals and how there's some people out there that literally their entire job is to just sit there and make up a bunch of BS about animals and to make a bunch of fake animals. You might ask why they would do that. Well, one thing that they do is they just flood the media with their BS all the time. That's why every day there will be some new pop outer space article. Do you really think that every day they're making some wacky discovery? That's not how real science works. You can't, I just read some ridiculous thing the other day. They're trying to say that there's some super massive black hole that's flying at incredible speeds and has a trail of stars behind it. It's just ridiculous, the amount of bullshit that they come up with to push their nonsense. And evolution, so of course we get tons of outer space nonsense to push that false reality. That's one of the biggest ways that you can brainwash people, is through repetition. Just keep bombarding them with a bunch of BS over and over and over again, and people they'll just accept it after a while. Same thing with the whole animal thing. They're constantly coming up with wacky fake animals to push evolution and to convince people that they're a monkey. Gorillas and the great apes are the most obvious example of that. If you can see through the fursuit deception, the motive is so clear. They use fake animals to push their false paradigm of evolution. Just like I already said, they use the constant outer space fake stories to keep people locked in this mind prison of, you live on a spinny space ball in outer space. They also want people to constantly think, you're just a monkey. And they mock the whole Noah's Ark thing, too, by saying, oh, there's billions of species out there, even ones that haven't been discovered yet, but then they're also telling us that all sorts of species are going extinct that never really existed. And a lot of that, I think, is to mock Noah's Ark, the idea of Noah's Ark, and also to obscure real biology, where God made this place where animals and plants have the ability to adapt. And all the time you're finding out in biology where, people were calling these two things a separate species, but really they ended up being the same thing. Look at the dogs. Look at the diversity of dogs, where you can have one species and make them look so wildly different. I think that's how biology works too. Actually, that reminds me, I was just reading a Wikipedia article the other day about the English longbow, and there was a little blurb in there about how looking at the skeletons, they could determine who were longbow archers because their skeletons were changed from being a longbow archer. And that's a huge lie about biology. They try to mock that idea in biology, where it used to be a well-established theory that, say, a giraffe could have developed a long neck by stretching for higher and higher leaves. And now they mock that idea, but there's actually some truth to it. Your body really can change depending on what you use it to do. The people, like I just brought up, the archers, physically could change their skeletons by doing a certain trade throughout their life. And anyways, biology just isn't what they tell you, and things can adapt. When I think of Noah's Ark, people mock that idea because they're like, oh, well, look up on Wikipedia, how many animal species are there? You can't fit that many. Well, I don't think that Noah had to bring 500 different bat species. He probably brought one pair of bats, and all the biodiversity that we see in bats today came from that one pair of bats spreading out and adapting. God made this place with animals and plants having the ability to adapt. Okay, let's get through this. This is a short chapter, but it is so beautiful. Man, I still get pissed that school gatekeeps the poetic beauty of the King James Version of the Bible. It's really a disservice because they make us read so much BS in school. And I remember being pushed. Any other religion is fair game for American universities to push on, or universities. I mean, sure, but public education, high school, that kind of thing. We talk about Islam. We talked about other religions, Norse mythology, Greek mythology, but no, anything from the Bible is treated like the plague, which is hilarious that the United States tries to pretend that it's a Christian nation, but the Bible is seriously, like, I used to be like this too. I had like a fear of opening up the Bible, and that's how it is in school. They really almost pretend it doesn't exist. There's just too much poetic beauty in the Bible to not mention it, but the education system, the indoctrination system, totally ignores it. Okay. Isaiah chapter 31. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses, and trust in chariots, because they are many, and in horsemen, because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Yet he also is wise, and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers, and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men, and not God, and their horses flesh, and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is holpen shall fall down, and they all shall fail together. For thus hath the Lord spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey, when a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion, and for the hill thereof. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also he will deliver it, and passing over he will preserve it. Turn ye unto him, from whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. For in that day every man shall cast away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you, for a sin. Then shall the Assyrian fall with the sword, not of a mighty man, and the sword, not of a mean man, shall devour him. But he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall be discomfited. And he shall pass over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, saith the Lord, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem. Okay, so that is it for Isaiah 31. Okay, so here's part 2 of this video, fake animals. And we start with this bright orange image of some strange macaroni-looking penguin, looking crazy. Fearsome prehistoric penguin weighed as much as an adult gorilla. Alright, let's see. Researchers have now discovered an extinct species of penguin native to the island that was absolutely massive, weighing as much as an adult gorilla. Once you know you're not flying anymore, the sky's the limit. The sky's the limit is it's like a code word for people who know about the firmament. And once you know you're not flying anymore, the sky's the limit. That just reminds me of how once you learn that the NASA rockets go up and then just come straight back down in those parabolic paths, you understand that the sky literally is the limit, the firmament. They love mentioning these things because it says, hey, look, I'm in the club. I know about this stuff. The paleontologists first unearthed the bones in 2017, along with a more complete skeleton of a smaller species that was still considerably larger than modern penguins. But it wasn't until now, in a new study published this week, that the researchers fully revealed the juicy details. The way that they write about this stuff is always like gossip magazine-y, or they're really condescending and treat you like a child. Juicy details, and gave the big boy a name. They treat you like you're a child. Kume Manu, for whatever. This all of these Latin names, they do the same BS. They try to make things legit by just creating ridiculous details about it. They think that they can breathe these things into existence by just creating details about them. It's the same way they do fake history. They just write these enormous backstories full of ridiculous details, and they're like, see, look, it's real. Somebody wrote it. According to NYT, it's a combination of the Maori words for monster and bird. They use 3D models. So here's where they'll admit some stuff where, again, if you're in the know, you'll get what they're talking about here. They use 3D models derived from a cast of the colossal femur to determine that the monster bird weighed 340 pounds. I find it interesting, too, that D is the fourth letter, so 3D is like 3-4, and then we get another repeated 3-4, 340 pounds. But what's here, the hidden knowledge here is that what they'll do is they'll find like one bone, and it'll be like a bone fragment, and then they try to say that this is like a bone fragment from this enormous thing, and then they just make up the rest of the skeleton using things like whale bones and just like T-Rex heads. That's just an art project. That's not a real skull, I don't believe at all. They're just making they probably just use clay and then make their detailed skeleton thing out of clay and then do the molding process. Anyways, determining its height proved more difficult and uncertain, but the research estimate that it stood at a stout 5 feet 2 inches. Meanwhile, the smaller penguin, named Petrodiptes, weighed in at 110 pounds. For comparison, the largest extant penguin, the emperor penguin, which is BS, grows only to 4 feet tall. What? Do you really think that there's penguins out there that are 4 feet tall? That's why I'm saying that they're midgets. You can fit a midget inside of a 4 foot tall penguin suit. Emperor penguins are absolutely midgets. There's no 4 foot penguins out there. That's ridiculous. 88 pounds? You're telling me that there's like, that's like ostrich. Like an ostrich, but it's a penguin instead. Emperor penguins, something weird. I don't think they used to say that they were so big. At least the first time I learned like how big an emperor penguin really is supposed to be, it blew my mind. It's bizarre. And yeah, it's just because they have to fit a midget in that suit. Anyways. Does that mean there could have been even more Titanic penguins roaming the seas? Unfortunately, probably not, says Gerald Mayer, a paleontologist who's sick of all this BS being pushed that's not even believable. I believe that whatever is close to the upper limit of a flightless seabird, and I do not expect substantially larger penguins to be found. He's like, this is it. This is the limit of the bullshit. They will not come up with something more ridiculous. And I'm just going to end with this stuff about gorillas. I was just looking up stuff about gorillas. That's why that penguin article came up, because they were comparing it to a gorilla, which is like another... If you're in the know, you know gorillas are a hoax, so you make those connections. Oh, this hoax bird weighs the same as this other hoax animal. You see that all the time. It's the same thing with what do they send up in outer space? They send a chimp. Well, if you know that chimps are actors in fursuits, if you know that chimps aren't real, you know that it's a bunch of bullshit when they say they send one up to outer space. Okay, there was something about adult gorilla males. I just want to show this little piece of the article because it's an Easter egg. It's an inside joke for people who know. These are adult males and can be distinguished by the silvery white hair. The ferocity of the fight shocks the human onlookers, who gasp with concern. Oh, but let me guess, it's not like they get bloody or anything. If anyone has had real wild animals, or, I mean, domesticated ones too. I've just had pet rodents before that would attack one another. Males would attack one another, and they mean business, draw blood. They've almost killed one another before, pets that I've had. And when you see gorilla fights, I guarantee to you that there's not blood gushing out and actually anybody getting hurt. It's all for show. It's all for gasps. A fully grown adult male gorilla can weigh up to 400 pounds, and some are up to 5.5 feet tall. Some captive gorillas have lived into their 50s. This battle really is like watching two large men in a fight. Yuck, yuck. You get it? It really is. Because that's what it is. Anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. God bless everyone.